welcome back to Color in the Shape of Sound Studio, StudioCast. Today we have a guest that's a little bit different. He's not a band. Well, he's in a band, we'll talk about that, but he's actually a local engineer. You want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, what's up? My name's Josh Mahan. Like Johnny said, I do engineering and I play music as well, so try to be well-rounded at least.
Yeah, I've kind of wanted to have some more engineers come in because the first episode we actually had, it was me and my buddy Kevin, who actually went to school. Josh actually went to AEI as well. We'll get into that. But the first episode was all about engineering and recording and everything, and then we kind of strayed away from that, so it's cool to get back. But like I said, you went to Audio Engineering Institute with Marius Perone as well here in town. And that's kind of how I know you is I just like saw you there one time, and then I saw you in town locally, which is cool. But I guess you're doing more live stuff right now, right?
Lately, yeah, actually. I started out doing, recording, and I still love it. But I've been getting more involved in the live community for sure. Cool.
I at my job, I work at First Baptist Church, San Antonio, and I got that job from Marius. But they hired me on to do. We have this morning service, and it's like kind of like the hipster service or whatever. And so they have like a band play. And we have a guy outside in the room, and he runs sound, like live sound. And then we have a little room off to the side, and where we record the band. So we have like Studio One up, and we record them. But we also have an X32 in there. We have to mix it like on the fly, like live, into like a 2-track recording that we used to put online. Mm-hmm. So it's like doing live and studio at the same time.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting.
Yeah.
Especially since you're mixing on the fly, so it's going to be, not a change.
Yeah.
During the whole thing. I mean, it's going to be kind of
going up and down. Yeah, exactly. And it's also like, not only is it like getting the mix right for the band, but it's also like the preacher coming up, and then like when he sits down, you turn him down. So you got to be like really paying attention. Other than that, I do sound for live TV. They broadcast every Sunday morning, and it's live. So whatever I do is what's on TV. If I mess up, it's messed up on TV. And actually, the first day, or maybe like one of the first weeks or whatever I started working there, they were doing like communion or whatever, and then I was supposed to turn the preacher's mic down, but I turned the wrong fader down, and then like lady comes up and he's like, "How's your husband's leg?" on live TV. But yeah. So do you have like a home studio type of thing, or? Yeah, actually,
I mean, it's more of a bedroom studio than this situation is. But yeah, I mean, I do some recordings out of there.
Cool. What are you working with? You had Studio One or
Pro Tools?
Cool. Did you get the like the package from Marius or whatever when you graduated? Or?
No, actually, I didn't. I already had a laptop and an interface, and it had 8 mic pre's because, like we were talking about earlier, I like to record real drums.
Yeah.
So I really had no need for it, but and that was also, I think, Pro Tools. No, it was 11. It wasn't 10, so it just got upgraded. But I have Pro Tools 12. It's not an HD system with like all the crazy converters and everything.
Yeah.
But I still like it a lot.
Yeah. What interface are you using? You said it was 8 channels?
Yeah, it's actually a Tascam 16x8.
Yeah.
Which it gets the job done. It's a little muddy on the converter side. I mean,
really?
On the playback, you can kind of tell a little bit if you compare it with other things. I never would have known had I not. But for the most part, I really like it. It gets the job done well.
I'm using the PreSonus AudioBox 1818 VSL right now.
Nice.
And I like the preamps. They're like super flat. They don't really have any. They don't
color.
Do anything. Yeah, color to it, which is good for some stuff. But I have the Behringer. I don't know what it's called. Whatever their regular, like their cheaper version is of their 8 preamps, and then I'm running that through Lightpipe.
Mm-hmm.
And that one I noticed. When I do I'll record the same thing into both the preamps to just compare them or whatever, and I'll notice that there's not as much low end on the Behringer one.
Oh, really?
So I tend to do drums into the first preamp on the PreSonus one, and then like guitars and stuff if I have to. But for the most part, I don't really need more than 8.
And you're talking about like a live situation, right?
Yeah,
to where
exactly.
You record a full band.
Yeah. If I'm doing like drums, I can do all on the one, and then I'll do like room mics on the second one.
Yeah.
But also on this one, the first 2 preamps are line. Are they line level or? Yeah, they're like instrument inputs, which are just like hotter. So you can just directly put a guitar in or whatever. So I don't really use those on drums if I don't have to. Because it's just too hot, even like with it turned almost all the way down.
Yeah.
But you have any other like preamps that you use or like analog stuff, or you just all in the box right now?
It's all in the box right now. Aside, like I'm a huge tube amp guy. Like I use a tube amp for bass, which like no one does anymore.
Yeah,
and it's all tube.
Awesome.
It's preamp tubes, power amp tubes.
That's super cool.
And it's an orange 8200 in case anyone cares. But
dude, everyone cares.
Yeah.
Or at least me, like, and all my friends are like all gear whores.
Yeah.
And so like that's like what I'm into. If I'm talking about music, I'm gonna like some way like get gear in the
Good
talk.
to know. Good to know. I've got some experience on like some of the Focusrite, like just super vanilla analog compressors, which are good, like you said, for some stuff when you don't want color or what have you. But man, there's some UAD preamps that I've used and that are tube.
Yeah.
And that just blow me away. I mean, just the character that they can give. I mean, maybe if you don't want it, it's not desirable, but
I guess I'm kind of biased because I just like really into the old vintage sound of everything. And I think it sounds good on everything. But,
me too.
But I guess that's kind of like not for everyone or whatever, because I like to record all my vocals through this little tube amp, which isn't even that super good sounding. It's just like a tube preamp. And some people didn't want that or whatever when they've recorded here. I just think it sounds better. But I guess for some of the newer stuff, that people want like super clean vocals, which... I mean, if that's what they're asking for, you got to give it to them. But,
of course.
Yeah, I'm with you with the vintage stuff.
I dig it, man. I life's too short to not have character all over everything.
Yeah, definitely. That's something I've noticed. And I mean, like, if you're mixing in the box, that's totally fine. That's like a legit way to mix, especially nowadays. And a lot of the stuff I do is like that. But some of the stuff I've seen, like people that have like big studios, like bigger than what I have, or like even like real studios or whatever, and they're mixing in the box, even though they have all this gear, and it just comes out sounding kind of like boring,
Yeah.
Like all the new like I like all kinds of music, but I like older country music.
Yeah.
And all the newer stuff is like just not good.
Yeah, it's super stale.
Yeah, exactly. That's a good way to put it. What are you into, like music wise though?
I mean, it's funny you ask, because I actually during the weekends I mix at a new bar. I mean, it kind of started out as a bar, like food truck beer garden thing.
Yeah.
But it's called the Roundup, and it's an outdoor music venue, and I'm their front of house engineer out there. Cool. So it's a country bar. I mean, we mix all the.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, I actually just did my first national front of house show the other day.
Really?
We've had national acts, and I've done monitors for them, or stage managed, or done like kind of like this weird mix of both for lower things, off the same board. But I did my first like on an awesome Midas front of house national.
I saw that on
show.
your Instagram. That
Dude,
Midas mixer. Was that good to work on?
It was great.
That's
actually,
awesome.
I used that the M32 at the church I work at too.
Oh, really?
So I have some experience on it.
Awesome.
But I like it a lot. I mean, it's got the Midas Pro faders on it, and the converters in the preamp are just incredible. So
have you worked on an X32? Probably, right?
Yeah.
People were saying online, like it's exactly an X32, but that's hard to believe. Is that?
It is exactly an X32.
It is, really?
It has a different housing that's metal and built far better. The chassis tends to warp less in humid conditions, but the software is all the same. The layout's pretty much the same. It doesn't have a scene shortcut, but you just press one more button and you get there.
Yeah.
It was designed by the guy who designs Bentley. Like the cars, yeah.
That's weird.
So it's kind of elegant. It's almost like a little too elegant for me, It's I
thought it kind of looked like those old like 70s synthesizers, kind of.
Yeah, actually, it kind of does. Yeah. Like almost like when Moog was going towards the 80s and started getting black. Yeah, it kind of looks like one of those Moogs.
Yeah.
But I like it because I know the X32 really well, and I kind of got tired of messing with the X32 just because I get bored easily, and it's the same. I want to just
it's repetitive.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
But in a high pressure situation like that, it's very nice to know where everything is all the time.
Yeah, definitely.
So it was a great transition. And I mean, it really does sound better. And having it in that same environment as opposed to where it only previously used it as at the church, you can really tell a difference.
Really?
Yeah, it's hard to go from like a big metal roof underneath it to like a we set up in the movie theater at the Palladium.
Oh, really?
Which is just incredibly different environment. So it's hard to compare mixers.
Yeah, that's pretty cool though. Is it the same preamps in there? I know Midas had them in the X32.
Midas designed the Behringer preamps that got made, I think, in China.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and then the M32 has Midas like Pro converter preamps because the converter is in the preamp. That's how you can reroute it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, they sound impeccably better.
That's awesome. That's really cool. I didn't even know that. I actually thought it was this. I was under the impression that it was the same preamps in both mixers.
No, different.
That's awesome. Have you ever used like analog mixers?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Use that live or in the studio at all?
Mainly live. Like once or twice in the studio, which I like. Can be very cumbersome. I can imagine like if I had a bunch of projects to work on, the recallability on that would be a nightmare.
Yeah.
But like if I'm working on my own stuff or maybe one or two things, I think it'd be fun. You know, it'd be very like, you know, give it character and everything like what we're saying. But
that's what we were talking about earlier before the podcast. I have a Mackie mixer in here that's huge, but I just don't know what to do with it really. Because I guess I could go out left and right into my computer, but that's like you got to mix everything perfectly, which is weird because I kind of would like to do that just to experiment and try it out. And that's kind of how I started. I had a 2-channel interface and I had a 8-channel little analog Yamaha mixer. Mm-hmm. I plugged my drums into that and go left and right into the computer. And so like everything had to be like perfect, or else I'd have to redo the whole thing.
That's actually exactly how I started too.
Really?
Yeah, I had a 2-channel inbox. Mm-hmm. Did guitars, everything with that. But then I had a little Yamaha. But the thing was, it was Yamaha too, but it was a powered mixer.
Oh yeah. So that's what mine was.
Oh really? Yeah. So you got that? Was it? I I had like the 512. I forget which one it was.
I don't remember what mine was. I have it out there still.
Really?
I don't ever use it. Yeah.
It's funny because you got to get the mix right on the way in, and then you still get this hum from the amp that's in there.
Yeah, exactly. That's weird that we both started out that way.
Right?
Yeah. And you're also in a few bands locally, right?
Yep.
Cool. You want to give them a shout out or what they are?
Yeah. So I guess my first project is called 7 Ace. It's with an old buddy I went to high school with, and then we roomed together for a long time, and that's more of a project. Like me and him record all the vocals, guitars, drums, and everything ourselves.
Cool.
So we have to hire people out or find people that want to help us out when we do live stuff. But it's kind of a more intimate like project. Like we really focus on making it like an artistic
cool.
Yeah, like an end result. Like I don't know, it's
just
cool.
2 guys doing the whole band.
Exactly.
That's cool.
So there's a very like specific direction we want to go with it. It's not so much a jam band.
Yeah, isn't that what Dave Grohl did to start Foo Fighters?
Pretty much, yeah.
That's super cool.
And Trent Reznor is kind of like a similar influence in that thing. How he really had a vision for Nine Inch Nails too.
Cool.
And then other than that, I'm in a band this is my most recent one. It's called Wastelanders. It's like a hardcore, like punk, like not metalcore, like hardcore, like early 2000s, like just dirty punk band.
That's my jam. That's awesome.
Man, I love it. I've been having so much fun. Gear. I just got a Dark Glass preamp for bass.
Cool.
And it's just that thing gets like dirty in a right way, but I haven't been being able to kind of crank it in the other projects I've been doing. But this one is just I just get to let it loose. So
just
that's
do whatever
awesome.
you want.
Yeah,
because it's like just
total
wild.
filth.
Yeah. Cool.
And then I guess the last thing that I'm working on right now is I'm playing bass for Freddie Echeverry, and he's like a solo artist that was cutting records in Nashville and came back here, and he needed a band.
Cool.
So then working at Sam Ash, which is another thing I do throughout the weeks.
Just keep him busy.
Yeah, pretty much. One of the drum guys, Tony, hadn't hooked up with him, and they needed a bass player, so I filled in for that. And then I knew a keyboard player that also happened to work at Sam Ash with us, Josh Kale.
So this is like the Sam Ash band.
Pretty much. It's like Freddie went and hired Sam Ash to be his band. It's kind of funny.
That's cool. I'm kind of starting out to do. I got a buddy that wants to do this like kind of country rock type of thing, kind of like a rockabilly almost. Mm-hmm. And I got another buddy on the other side that wants to do a like Angels and Airwaves type of like space rock thing. And so like, but they're both bass players, and then I'm a drummer. Yeah. So it's just like we just have bass and drums, so it's like not getting anywhere right now. But yeah, I've been kind of just getting into the local scene. I doing this whole studio thing, going to like the Corova or like the 1011 or whatever it's called now. Ventura, yeah. And I've seen a lot of local guys, and there are a lot of terrible bands locally, but there's every once in a while there's like when it's like those guys are doing something right, and I've heard, I haven't seen you play, but I've heard other people that have heard you play, and I've heard good things, and they're kind of, you're one of those bands. Which is kind of cool.
Well, awesome.
Yeah. Do you know Jeremy Zapata?
Yeah, a little bit.
Okay, cool. Yeah, he was one of the guys that said that he had heard your stuff, and that was pretty good.
Oh,
which
nice.
is cool. Yeah. What are you looking to do kind of on forward, I guess? Just keep working in music, or?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I want to play music. Like, I really want to play music, but at the same time, like, dude, I want to mix so bad.
Yeah,
It's crazy because I love both.
Yeah.
And I was battling which one I wanted to do for the longest time, and I've come to the decision, like, I'm just going to do studio stuff when I can, and live stuff when I can, and then live mixing when I can.
Just when as it comes at you.
Whatever feels right. Like, now, I'm doing studio stuff, and I have a couple gigs I'm working on, like a couple church bands and a couple local bands. Cool. But mainly, I'm really focusing on the live, just because that seems to be what's pulling me right now.
Cool.
But I feel like it's going to be bouncing back and forth for a long time.
Yeah. That's kind of where I was when I was in high school. I was like really wanted to play music, but it was I am actually from St. Louis, Missouri, and me and my buddy Dan were always playing music together. It was just kind of the two of us, and we did kind of like what you said you were doing with your one project, where we would just do all the instruments and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And we had like some guys come in and kind of jam with us and play, and like we would start a band with them, but then they'd be flaky and they would bail or whatever.
Yeah.
And it was always just the two of us and then other people. So I liked playing music a lot, but I always found myself like kind of mixing and stuff. So whenever I was like at the end of towards graduating high school, and I was like, man, what do I want to do with the rest of my life? What am I going to go to school for? I kind of just I wanted to be like a rock star or whatever, you know.
Of course.
But then I was like, that's very unlikely to make money that way. So I just kind of like, well, I guess I'll look into like mixing and audio engineering. And then my dad found AEI online, and just kind of took off from there. And now, like, I'm a mediocre drummer and an all right guitar player or whatever. Those are kind of my main instruments. But like mixing is something that I've like really put my mind to and like keep wanting to learn and keep going at. So it's kind of my thing right now.
Yeah, it's funny you say that, because I remember I was driving here.
Yeah.
And I was thinking about something with rerouting, something like just stupid stuff that like I just got off work. Like I should have spent that time daydreaming about flowers or something. But I'm here just thinking about mixing or like cables. I mean, stupid. I mean, I just can't stop wanting to know more or thinking about more.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's not so much like I got to practice it. Like, as you're saying, like, it's just kind of like I keep wanting to do it.
Yeah, it's just like on your mind
all the time.
Yeah, definitely. That's how I am as well. Like, I'll be up in my, like, for people that don't know, this little studio is just 2 rooms. It's like a pool house converted into a little studio. It's in my backyard of my house.
Kind of sick.
Yeah. I'll be like in the house watching TV or something, and then like I'll get a good idea of like, what if I like combine that EQ with that compressor or something, and like I'll have to come out here and like go try it out on something. Like I'll just like record a little riff on guitar, or like just hit the snare drum a couple times, just to, like mess with different plugins and stuff. And, like I just like the gears are always turning.
Do you have a specific? Now we're both analog favorites or whatever you might put it, but plugins, like, do you have a specific brand that you go to for plugins?
I'm actually kind of, I haven't worked with a bunch of different brands really. I have the stuff that came with the Studio One Professional, which is actually really good. I was really impressed with it. I thought when I got it was like, oh, these are just regular throwaway plugins or whatever, but they're really good. And then I have the ones that I got, the Waves plugins that you get from when we were in school. And that's kind of all I've been working with. And I've just I'm really comfortable with all of them now. And I know how to use every one that I have. So now that I have those, I'm kind of going on. I've been recently, like this past week, researching plugins to see kind of where I want to go. But I know I like the Waves stuff, which is tried and true. It's kind
of course.
The Tony Hawk of plugins.
Yeah.
But there's kind of like I have Amplitude that a buddy gave me a copy of, and I like that a lot. And do you know who makes that? I don't even remember.
I do, but I forget. Yeah, I mean, I remember the company because they got the rights to, like, they can actually put Orange and Ampeg. Yeah. They can put the real names on it. So
yeah. Well, I like that plugin, and I like the way it works, and it sounds really good. And so I was kind of looking into their stuff, but I'm kind of just getting into that right now. I just I didn't want to just buy a bunch of plugins and then not know what to do with myself.
Yeah.
You know? And I watched a video with. Do you know who Fluff is?
Yeah, of
YouTube?
course.
Yeah. It was like one of his Q&As, and he said that. Or he said, just work with what you have until you master, and then you can get more. And I kind of like thought, I was like, that's a good idea. And so that's kind of what I did.
It's funny you say that too, because I remember I was watching one of Fluff's videos, Ryan Bruce, and he was like, "Shop the deals, plugins go on sale."
Yeah.
And, like I've gotten some sweet plugins just from shopping sales. Waves always has crazy sales.
I get all their emails actually.
Really?
Yeah. Every time they have a sale.
You can get the SSL bundle, which I do not have, and I would love to have. Because I've messed with it and it sounds good. Like it sounds really good. Just everything you do, just you get that like yes.
Yeah.
Every time you make a move, it just feels right.
That's awesome. That's cool.
But it's normally $749 or $799, like up there, and it's right now it's on sale for $249, $250.
Oh, that's not bad at all, actually.
And that's killer, man. If I had just $250 to shell out right now, I would do it. And sometimes I do, but right now I don't, and I'll just have to wait till it goes on sale again, probably.
Yeah, exactly. That's kind of how I am. With even like external gear, like actual hardware, like I'll just go to Sam Ash or Guitar Center and just like look what they have that's used and is a good deal. Because like I don't mind. There's some guys that are kind of like gear snobs, where they have to have the best of the best. And like I have a custom amp out there that's like a combo, like 2 preamp, but then the rest is solid state.
Yeah.
And I got that at Sam Ash, and the only reason I bought it was because I wanted a tube amp, because I didn't have another one at the time. And I played it and it sounded pretty good. And I got it home and kind of really dialed it in, and it sounds fantastic. It's kind of an underdog. And
is it a guitar amp or a bass amp?
Yeah, it's a guitar amp. It's got 2 dual 12 Celestion speakers in it, and the brand is custom. I've never actually
with a K.
Yeah. I hadn't heard of them before, but I got it and I love it. It's like my favorite amp now.
Nice.
Yeah, so it's kind of, I don't really look at like the names, or I mean obviously there's certain stuff like the Vox AC30 or whatever. The Reverb that's like tried and true and everyone knows it's good, which I obviously like. But I like experimenting with stuff that people don't know.
Yeah,
and getting different sounds, because since everybody knows them, they're kind of standard sounds.
Yeah.
They do sound good and they work for a lot of stuff, but it's kind of cool just to experiment with other stuff.
Because it gives you kind of like your own signature.
Yeah, exactly.
A good print.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's cool. And it's actually, I was talking to Ted today, who works in guitars at Sam Ash, about like how people order online, and it's super convenient. And I'm not sitting here trying to promote like, yo, you need to walk into Sam Ash, but like for guitars, like there's some Squires, and like I have a Fender Mexican jazz bass that's supposed to not be anything, but oh my god, dude, that thing sounds and plays so good. And like some Squires play amazing.
Yeah, I actually have a Squire Mexican jazz bass as well, and it's like my favorite bass that I've played to this day. And I've played like really nice basses at Guitar Center, Sam Ash and stuff.
And the Squires, I love Squires. I think the only thing is if they had, if you switch out the pickups for like a Seymour Duncan or DiMarzio, super solid, man.
Hell yeah. I actually just got some random parts online, and at pawn shops and stuff, I made like a makeshift Tom DeLonge Strat guitar. And it feels great and it plays great, but I still have the same pickup in there. So I'm going to get probably a Seymour Duncan Invader to put in there.
Nice.
And it's a solid guitar, and I actually like it. And
it's crazy, man.
Shit on Squire all the time, but there's no.
But you think about the differences in pieces of wood, and like the moisture that's in it. I mean, like some guitars are just gonna be made better than others, even if it's the same model.
Yeah, exactly. I remember I was in when I was in school, there was this older gentleman. His name was Bruce. That was in the class, and somebody had asked, "What's the difference between, like these 2 guitars are the same? One's Fender and one's Squire." And then Marius was kind of saying, it's the same thing, but kind of lesser quality was put into like quality control and stuff like that. And then he said, "Well, I have this Squire. I think it was like Pete Wentz bass or something like that, which is a good bass." And that guy was like, "All Squires are beginner guitars." And I was like, I disagree, man. And then now I have a couple Squires, and I love them. Yeah. Buddy of mine has we were talking about before, has the Squire John 5 guitar. Yeah. And that's awesome. And he has a Squire, it used to be mine, and I sold it to him, Showmaster, and that's pretty awesome too. And it has actually Seymour Duncan pickups in it that it came with.
What? That's awesome.
Yeah, I had actually never heard of a Showmaster before. But
I still don't know what that is, to be honest.
Yeah, it was like, I looked it up, and it was like basically okay, so Fender made Strats, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then Ibanez copied that.
Yeah.
And then they kind of made their kind of metal version of a Strat. And then the Showmasters are copying the Ibanez's copy of.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's like a copy of their own copy. It's kind of weird.
That is weird.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's funny because people play tag. It's like in pro audio, man, like the EV ZLX has just taken the powered speaker, customer level, consumer level by storm.
Yeah.
And now like the Alto Blacks, or not the Alto Blacks, but there was an Alto speaker that looks like they got sued by EV. It looks so much like a ZLX.
Really?
And then even JBL, their new PRX line, which is better than ZLX's. It's a wood cabinet, higher RMS rating. I mean, everything. It's better.
Yeah.
But they make it look like a ZLX.
Really?
And
Why?
I don't know. It's weird how companies play like catch up with each other.
Yeah. I noticed PV had put out an amp either this year or last year, and it looks exactly like the Fender amp, like the yellow covering, whatever that is. It's like the exact same thing.
And PV actually did the Dark Matter.
Really?
And they sound pretty good, not to talk down on them or anything, but like they look exactly like ZLXs too,
Yeah.
And I just so happen to be an EV nerd. I'm wearing a shirt right now.
Yeah.
And it's not because I get paid to. I just really like EV.
Yeah. Definitely. I actually have a Zildjian shirt that I rock all the time.
Yeah.
I'm not sponsored by Zildjian. A shout out to Zildjian if you want to sponsor me. No.
Right. EV, you looking out.
But yeah. It's if I like find a company that I really like and they're have good products and they have a good reputation. It's not that it's like, hey, come buy this stuff. Like I just like repping stuff that I am a fan of. It's no different than wearing like a 4 Year Strong T-shirt or 4.2 T-shirt.
I love 4 Year Strong.
Yeah. Awesome.
And another thing I love about EV and like even Zildjian, I think. I mean, I'm not a drummer, but everything I've heard, like their customer service is awesome.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I've gotten EV speakers that didn't work, and that happens. That's like when stuff is made by machines, like shit happens.
Yeah.
But they made sure that I got it taken care of before my next show. I mean, they're on it, It's awesome.
Yeah.
They make you feel secure with what you're purchasing when you're shelling out change.
Yeah. Not to kind of the same thing happened with me with PreSonus. I'm kind of a PreSonus fangirl. I got like a bunch of preamps and stuff and different gear from them, and I'm actually looking at getting their speakers that came out this year. I actually like their monitors.
Which ones?
I forget what they're called, but they're the tall blue ones with a little bit of orange in them.
Because I know the Eris are like a series studio monitors.
Really?
And then the new ones are like, I think R something, like R65s for 6.5. But they got
might be what it is.
They got the ribbon tweeter in it.
Yeah.
It's got the blue faceplate with the little yellow ribbon tweeter.
That's what it is. Yeah.
Dude, those sound awesome.
Really, I've heard like interviews with people talking about them and like their little thing at NAMM talking about them, and I've heard good things, but I actually haven't got to actually hear them yet. Do they have them at Sam Ash?
Yeah. We have the 6.5s and the 8-inch.
Awesome.
And it's funny, not a lot of people know, but I used to record commercials for 99.5 KISS in town.
Oh, really? Cool.
And my old engineer that that I was working for there, his name's Rick Gonzalez. And he
sounds familiar.
Yeah, he's done all like he's done a lot of commercials. You probably heard his voice. It's very recognizable. But he came in the other day and he was looking at monitors, and I was showing him some Focals, like some of the cheaper ones.
Yeah.
And we came across those PreSonus R65s.
Yeah.
And he was just blown away. And I was
really?
too, because we had done so many just back-to-back comparisons, and it's just so smooth on the bottom end and the top end. Like it's not harsh, but it's clear.
Yeah.
I guess it's that ribbon tweeter, and it's ported in the front, which I really like.
I like that too. I have the Rocket 5s, which have kind of a not that great of reputation, but
but they're ported in the front, which is great for a bedroom situation.
Yeah, exactly.
Which you're not really even in, but
I'm not in a bedroom, but it's like the size of a bedroom basically. And it's kind of sound treated, but I still need to do the back wall and the ceiling.
Like my room, I have my speakers against walls, and I have the JBL LSR 5s, the 3 series, and those are rear ported, and I can hear it.
You can get like a bunch of like bass trap in the corner. Yeah.
And I have some like room treatment that needs to be brushed up, but I mean, I think having front ported for anyone trying to do home studio is definitely beneficial.
Yeah, definitely. I used to be, actually the studio used to be kind of turned around. This was actually the cutting room, and that was the tracking room. And I was in this corner right here by the window. You can't see on the podcast, but whatever. I was actually kind of right in the corner, so I had foam all around the corner and the front wall. But I could still, even though I had the foam there, I could hear the bass, and everything was kind of louder that was against the wall.
Yeah.
It was just the reflections. So now I'm kind of in the middle of the room. And I can definitely hear a big difference. I was thinking about moving the room So I'm against this wall over here, which is going to be really annoying to everybody listening to the podcast because they can't see what I'm pointing to. But I'm like the long ways in the room or whatever. And I want to try that and see how that is. But I don't know, just experiment with it and see what sounds best.
I've even gone diagonal in my room before to mix. Yeah, I have too big of a desk to do it now. Do you know Damien from school?
Yeah.
He gave me his old desk.
Oh, really?
And that's actually a lot where I've experienced messing with a lot of analog and tube preamps is in his studio. He is
in his house or whatever.
Yeah, and it's actually he moved houses. I don't know if you know this, but he moved houses.
I didn't.
And now he has a separate house, like little house.
After he had his daughter?
Yeah.
Oh, see, I didn't know that. I haven't really talked to him since then.
Yeah, he's in a separate... I mean, it's in his property, but it's a separate house down his driveway.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
It is sick, dude. I mean, he's done it right. Like
it's like the whole house is the studio.
The treatment is done impeccably. I mean, like, everything is just top-notch. I mean, the walls are insulated, so it's not just room treatment. It's outside, like, you can't hear it.
Yeah. That's actually what I didn't hear. This used to be one big room, and when we built this wall right here, we put insulation in the inner wall as well.
So that's how you could get the window in there.
Yeah.
I was wondering, man.
And the window is actually double. It's got like 2 windows, so it's soundproof as well.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah. It actually is like for, I think I got it at Habitat for Humanity, and it was for like a cry room at a church, and so it was actually a soundproof window, but they didn't use it, so they gave it to Habitat for Humanity, and it just happened to work perfectly for what I needed it for.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah. But yeah, Damien is a super, like, he like looks at every little detail type of guy.
Oh yeah, a super clean mixer too.
Yeah,
like, there's no dirt and grime in there. I mean, which is it's just a style. Like I know Roland, who I work with at Sam Ash, mixes super dirty. I mean, not dirty, but just like color everywhere, tubes all over the place. I mean, just fill it up with as much as you can, and he makes it work. It sounds good. It's not messy. But Damien's very precise, very clean.
Yeah, he's the kind of guy that is like, he wants those preamps that are, well, I'm sure I don't know what his stuff is, but I remember I was talking to him in school before. I was telling him about the preamp that I have. Yeah. And that it's, they're really just really flat and don't really have any color to them or whatever. And he was saying that was sometimes that's really good. And any coloration that's in the song is like you did that with your plugins or whatever, the way you're miking or whatever. So everything's like really on you.
And I like Damien a lot because like he's got like the ISA preamps by Focusrite, which is very clean, very vanilla. Which he wants a very good clean bass to start off of. But then he's got a couple tube pre's and like some Joe Meek stuff that's just totally flavor all over the place.
That's awesome.
And when I first got my Tascam interface, I remember going to school and telling Damien, I got this. The preamps sound pretty good. Yeah. And he was like, man, just make sure your mic placing's good. Don't do stupid stuff. EQ right. Like, just and he tells us that like obviously he knows what he's doing. He's going to go in and color stuff up when he wants, but he doesn't want us to focus on like, oh, this preamp sounds good. Like he wants us to put our mics in the right spot. Yeah, definitely. And really focus on what, at that level you need to be focusing on.
Yeah, I remember talking to him about kind of basically the same thing, and he was like basically don't worry about your gear, just mess with your mic placement. Yeah. And everything was like listen to what we're learning here. It's not all about gear. It's the same thing with like a photographer. You can have like a super nice camera that has all these features and stuff, but if you give it to somebody that doesn't know how to use it, it's going to be not that great of a picture.
Love that analogy.
Really?
I always use food analogies.
Really?
But I think photography is a good one too.
Yeah, food makes sense too though. Like you have all these like super good expensive ingredients, like really nice steaks or whatever, but if you're not a good cook, it's going to not taste good.
And you don't want to taste nothing but cumin. Yeah. But a little bit. There's some ingredients where like garlic, you don't want to be like, oh god, that's garlic. Yep, there's garlic.
Yeah, definitely.
But if you take it away, you're like, where to go? What's wrong? And I think that's a lot of what like reverb, for instance. Like I don't really use reverb as an effect. Like sometimes I do. Yeah. But I remember Andrew Sheps talking about how he hates reverb as an effect. And he just wants it to be like compression, reverb, everything. He wants it to be noticed when you take it out. He doesn't want anyone to be able to point it out. That's what he did. And I think that's the same principle as cooking too.
Yeah, definitely. It's funny you say that about reverb because there's things like I had a band come in a couple times ago, IC Land, and they were really effects driven. So when I did their vocals, they were like super reverby and delayed, and it worked for their music because that's what their music was really effects driven.
Mm-hmm.
But normally, and that was like kind of a different thing for me because I'd never mixed a band that was like that before. But that's what they wanted, and it came out sounding pretty good actually with because their guitars were like nothing but delay. And it was like, yeah, it was. If you listen to it later, it's like kind of like you can't really tell the notes they're playing. It's just like,
is it super spacey or is
it
like,
it is. They said they're considered like emo something. I don't know, but it was like
emo.
Yeah, their guitars were almost like Angels and Airwaves though, kind of, or like I guess a better comparison would be Circa Survive.
I love Circa Survive.
Yeah, me too. Awesome. Well, actually, the lead singer was in town not too long ago, and my buddy almost opened up for him, but then he didn't.
Dang, really?
Yeah.
Dude, that's great. I was actually my other band, Heroes Among Heroes, which is like another one that's my high school project. We had we were lined up to open up for Kurt Travis from Dance Gavin Dance. Yeah,
that's awesome.
And that was coming up in October, but
yeah,
our drummer is banned from San Antonio music now, so no more.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I'm still getting over it. I'm not over it yet.
It's a touchy subject,
dude. It is, man. I'm not gonna get into it, but I love my drummer. He's a brother.
Yeah.
But dude, I was psyched for that show, man, and I'm still bitter about it. But
I think I remember Jeremy talking about that show actually.
Yeah.
But it was kind of a big deal locally.
And yeah, man, because Strawberry Girls. Actually, I think Strawberry Girls. I found out. I love Strawberry Girls. They're a progressive instrumental band with the old guitar player from Dance Gavin Dance. But they were only playing the California shows. But when I when I found out we had to cancel that show, I thought they were opening up for Kurt Travis here too, and my heart was just broken, man. Because I just love both of those artists so much.
That's a super sad story, actually.
Yeah. But my girlfriend has Juturna, like the album, tattooed on her thigh.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so she's a huge Circa Survive fan too.
That's super cool. We kind of got off track here, but back to the reverb.
Yeah.
When I'm mixing, I kind of use reverb to place things in the room.
Yeah,
actually.
exactly.
That's kind of like when I first started mixing when I was in high school. I thought like, oh, put the same reverb on everything so it sounds like everything's in the same room. But that's not the case.
You have to really think about how, not everything's in the same place in the room though.
Yeah, exactly.
So like you're saying, you really got to think about
walls and how the physics of sound actually. Yeah.
Glue it together like you're actually there.
Yeah, I remember that was going back to Damien actually. That was something I really remember him talking about was using compression and reverb to place things in the room. And he was like messing with just the snare. He had like a whole mix with the drums and everything, and he moved just the snare around in the room. You could really hear the difference with our headphones on that. I thought it was really cool.
Wow.
And that kind of took.
How did he explain using compression to set something in a placement?
Just like, kind of like, with the snare, he was kind of putting it as, you have like the harder hits or whatever, and the harder you hit it, the more it's going to compress it actually and turn it down. And that mixed with the I think he actually, for that mixed with the reverb, kind of just places it. But I think, if I'm not mistaken, he was doing some kind of sidechain thing with the reverb and the compression to kind of like place it somewhere else when you're hitting it harder or whatever.
Oh, okay.
So that was, I've just kind of like done, like I said, like the first little thing where you use compression to like, so when it hits harder, it sounds like it really kind of stands out, but it compresses more, which when it's, that changes the reverb because it's like quieter or louder, So it was pretty interesting.
Without going on like because we could talk about this for weeks, months, forever, but compression. Let's talk about compression for a minute.
I think that a lot of modern stuff has too much compression.
Far too much compression.
Yeah.
I agree.
Especially
I think,
drums.
Oh, yeah, man. And with all these digital boards, like the X32 or the XAir or whatever, there's a compressor on every channel.
Yeah.
And people need to use it because it's there.
That's not always the case, though.
What are you trying? Because compressors can do many things. You can control dynamics. You can pretty much automate with a compressor.
Yeah.
You can really bring out the ambience in a room on a room track if you just crank the makeup gain on it. But or just totally use like a LA2 for like just vibe and color. There's a lot you can do with them.
Yeah. Or there's like you can use like a what's it called? Like where you compress just certain frequencies and just like really just change.
So multi-band compressor.
Yeah, that's the word I was thinking of. Where you can, I use that a lot where I'll just like, on like a whole mix sometimes, or just like on one instrument to kind of shape the sound of like the instrument.
Yeah. I think my favorite one to use it on is like bass.
Yeah.
I use multiband on bass all the time.
Yeah, that's actually it's funny you say that, because I was just talking to my buddy Dan in St. Louis earlier, maybe a couple weeks ago, and he was telling me telling me what I could have done better, whatever, on one of my mixes or whatever. We go back and forth like that, and that was his suggestion, was really work with the multiband compressor on the bass, and I've kind of been playing around with that lately.
Which multiband do you use?
Whatever, the one that comes with Studio
Really?
One.
I got the C4 from Waves.
Oh, really?
On a really good deal. Again, and I didn't want to get the C6 because I'm still not even very good at thinking that much. Like, oh, I'm going to compress this band this much. And I mean, it's like a de-esser all over the place, really.
Yeah.
So I wanted to start with the C4, but I'm getting better at it.
Really?
It was hard to grasp at first, it was like almost too much, but if you really break it down, it makes sense.
What I did was I would like go into like the presets on here, and it had like bass preset, guitar preset, and I kind of just like see what they did. Whoever the engineers were that made this plugin, knew what they were talking about, obviously. So I just kind of like took from that, would look at like what they did on the preset, and then like on the bass, I was kind of surprised that they compress like a lot of bass, a lot of the low end, a lot of the lower frequencies, and I would think that would be kind of the opposite.
That's actually, what I do is I compress a lot of the lower frequencies to keep it really in check, and I even sometimes expand instead of boosting the EQ on like, because I like a clacky bass, not an over clacky bass, but I like it to
like
stick out in the mix. Yeah, of course, yeah. I mean, I love Flea, man.
Yeah. I was just listening to their new album on the car today.
I love it. I love it.
Same.
It's great, but I'll
funky.
expand those frequencies, and instead of just boosting what's there, I think it adds harmonics is what.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. Actually.
It's kind of like
that way.
adding something that's not there instead of boosting what is.
Yeah. That's actually something else that I'm really big on is I'm not like, I will boost stuff. Obviously, that's part of what you do, but I'd rather turn stuff down a little bit, or like take away the muddiness, or like the unwanted frequencies rather than boosting a whole bunch.
Of course.
I will boost, especially like on the kick, which I could talk about this forever. Like sometimes I'll like just copy and paste the kick, and I'll have two kicks, and I'll have one where I'm boosting kind of the higher frequencies to get that punchy sound.
Yeah.
And then the other one where I'll get the lower end, which is something else I wanted to bring up when we're done with compression. But
yeah. Have you ever tried using an in mic and an out mic?
Yeah, I actually have. I have a snare that I bought from Sam Ash that has a mic inside of the snare.
Oh, nice.
And it had like mounted in there. And I was thinking of actually making that on my kick to hold it in there. Because when I saw John 5 play at Sam's Burger Joint last year.
That's right. I forgot he played there. Oh, I missed that. Good. That must have been sick.
We met him after. Actually, I have a skateboard in there signed by him in the next room. But their drummer had like this awesome, I forget what it's called, I looked it up, but it's like the mic is like exactly in the middle of the kick drum, and it's like got these rubber bands holding it there.
Yeah, it looks like almost like a horseshoe in the middle.
Yeah, and I thought it sounded super good, so I kind of want to do something like that.
Would you still keep a mic on the outside too and blend them, or just have the thing in the middle?
I haven't really played with it yet. Before, when I used to have a big old hole in my resonant head, where it's basically no resonant head, I would put one inside of there towards the beater, kind of in the middle, and then one in there, and just kind of blend them. But sometimes, just depending on the type of music, whatever, I would maybe just use one or the other, whichever sounded best. What do you usually do?
Sometimes, well, if I can, if in a perfect world, if I have access to it, because I do not own one, I think it's a beta. Oh man, I'm just gonna get the number wrong, so I'm gonna. It's like a square flat Shure beta condenser, and it's made for the inside of a kick drum.
No, never mind. I think Evie makes that. Is it square though?
Yeah, it's like a little rectangle, man. It's like it's flat.
I'm thinking of ribbon mic, I think.
Yeah, no, it's not a ribbon. But that one sounds really good, like on a pillow in there. And granted, I love a kick drum without a pillow too, just a big old tom. But it's super specific.
Yeah.
Like heavier stuff or whatever. I mean, you need the pillow in there just to damp it down. But you can set it in there, and it gets a lot of the clack and the attack of it, and then just use an outside like a D6 or a RE20 or the D112 or whatever, and just get the low end from it. And it's essentially the same thing as copying it and boosting, except one mic is more receptive to low end and one mic is more receptive to high end. Instead of boosting it, it's just kind of already there. Same concept, but just using two different mics.
Okay, that's cool. Something that I have been not known to do, but I've done a couple times that might be kind of controversial is I'll just have I'll have the kick track that I recorded, and then I'll create a new track and put a tone generator and trigger that with a compressor or like a gate rather, I guess. But and every time you hit the kick, it opens up the gate and turns on the tone generator at like a real low frequency, and which I'll change to whatever kind of music I'm looking for or whatever. And it just gives a real big the low end, and that's
like sampling but better.
Yeah, exactly. Because I keep the real kick though, and it just kind of adds low end. And I know that some people will be like, well, that's sampling, and that's not the real drum, and you're cheating. But
no, dude, that's engineering.
yeah, exactly.
That's actually really cool. I've never thought about using a tone generator for that.
Yeah. When we're done, I can show you what I did here on the computer. It's super simple. I saw a video on it a long time ago on YouTube. Some like crazy guy had a X32 and he was doing it, and it was like a cell phone video. He was all shaky. He was like a mad scientist. He had to figure it out. It was really cool though.
That's funny, man. Yeah, he can figure all that out, but he couldn't get a proper video on YouTube.
Yeah. What like, are there any like special techniques that you like to use that are like frowned upon like that kind of, or not really?
Well, I'm a huge parallel compression nerd.
Really?
I almost strictly do parallel compression.
Really?
Yeah.
That's interesting. I've dabbled with it, but I haven't really messed with it a whole bunch.
Sometimes if I need to control, I mean, like if I'm in a DAW, I'll try and go in and use clip gain to control my dynamics.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, you can use a compressor to control dynamics, but, I mean, it's very...
That's kind of what I do usually.
Yeah, and, I mean, and it's what I do live, really, and most of the time, a lot of times, kind of, I'll use a compressor very lightly to control dynamics, and, like, I like to do compression in different stages, and even EQ in different stages. Like, a lot of times, EQ, make all my cuts, because like you were saying, dude, I'm usually going to cut, and I used to be very afraid to boost, because I just wanted to do my cuts. I didn't want everything to distort at the end. I was very cautious. But I've developed at least a confidence where I know when I can get away with boosting, and when you want to get rid of something versus, oh, it's too bassy, let's add some treble. Like, dude, it's too bassy, take away some bass.
Yeah.
Just knowing when to make those decisions. So I'll go and I'll high pass, do my cuts, then like kind of dynamic control compress it, and then I'll boost after that so that my boosts aren't triggering the compressor when I don't want it to.
Yeah.
And then like set up a side like an aux send in Pro Tools or something. I don't know how it's run in Studio One, but
basically the
same thing. Yeah. And then I'll run it like a reverb and just exaggerate the hell out of some settings. And if I'm doing a parallel, I like to do something like a 1176 or an LA2A style, like a vintage, like not like a Waves like computer compressor, like a if I could do analog I would, but I don't have any analog compressors. And then just like set the threshold super low, really fast attack time, really fast or slow release time.
That's what I normally do actually.
Really?
I've had people tell me that like that's kind of like, I just think that sounds good, but I've had people tell me that that's wrong not to do that, but like,
see, I do that. I just put it on the side so I blend it in as much as I want.
Yeah.
Or you can take your mix knob. Most compressors now have a mix knob, and you can just take it from 100% to like 70 or...
Yeah, mine has
that's the same thing.
Yeah.
I'm just used to doing it like that, so...
Ironically, my favorite compressor is just the Renaissance.
Dude, I love the Renaissance compressor.
People like look past it, I guess, because it's so like...
It looks old.
Yeah, I guess so.
It looks... I mean, but
it looks like Windows 98.
Of course. Dude, it looks like a Windows 98 thing, but there's always that thing, like, if they were to update it, people would be like, oh, why fix something that isn't broken? Like, remember the old Renaissance compressor? Like, people would be like, man, that old Renaissance was just so cool. So I kind of like that they preserved it.
Yeah, same.
I use the REQ and the R compressor and the Renaissance reverb and the super tap delay.
Hell yeah.
Exclusively.
Really?
Yeah, like that's like most of the time. Unless I want like an RTA or something, I'll use an HEQ by Waves.
Okay.
But I mean, I love them, and you can get the low end harmonics with the right Waves compressor too. and they just sound good and they work good and the workflow's super simple.
Cheap.
And they're we got them for doing the course. So.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
which was great, and you can get them cheap now. I mean, like $39 per plug-in. Like,
exactly.
awesome prices for awesome gear.
Like I said before, I get the emails from Waves, and the Renaissance are always on sale. You just wait for them to come on sale, and they will.
I would strongly suggest anyone that's trying to maybe look at something else to go with Renaissance. Because, I mean, I don't even really... Like, Pro Tools, for one, like, it's Pro Tools. Like, Pro Tools is awesome, but their stock plugins are not quite on par with, like, Studio One or Cubase.
Really?
Yeah, they work. It's not like the delays and the reverbs are mainly the thing, is you can't really adjust them. I mean, they're kind of good for people that don't know what they're doing.
Yeah, I remember that in school, actually. It was kind of like, set it and you're done.
Yeah.
It didn't have a lot to tweak and mess with.
But when you know what you want to do, you're kind of limited. So it's good because you can't really get yourself in trouble. But when you know what you want to do, it's good. Like just the Wave stuff, I can create any type of room that I want, which is
a good
amazing.
Way to put it. Yeah, it's like you just like it's like clay.
Yeah, it's totally like clay.
Yeah, that's what I like about the Studio One. They have a couple actually compressors in here. They have like some channel strips and stuff that I really like.
Mm-hmm.
But on their compressor, it has like kind of stupid mode, I call it, where it's like you can set a lot of stuff to auto.
Yeah.
And then you just have the basic controls, and it kind of does what it, the audio goes through and it does what it hears or whatever.
Yeah.
But a lot of the time I find myself just taking that, setting everything to how I like it.
I used to keep on the X32 when I mix on that, because that's our front. That's our at the roundup where I mix. That's our board.
Yeah, that's
we have
an
X32
as well. Yeah.
And then we moved that to monitors and brought in the Midas for front of house when we have the national shows. But I used to kind of it has an auto setting for the attack, release, and hold settings for the compressors, and I used to keep it on auto.
Yeah.
But I noticed it works, but there's still some stuff I wanted to do differently. I've really gotten into adjusting attack and release times, really.
Yeah.
Because you can drastically affect the tone or whatever.
It's funny you say that. I actually was 2 weeks ago. I was messing with some of the effects on the X32 at work, and they had I don't remember what it was called, but it was kind of like an analog compressor rather than just a regular one.
That you can use as an insert or something.
Yeah. And I was using that on our female vocalist, and I thought it sounded pretty good at practice. And then Sunday morning, she started cutting out a whole bunch, and I was so afraid. I was like, "Oh man, I messed up. I thought I made the compressor didn't let it open enough or whatever." And she was cutting out. But then it turned out that there was just getting interference in her wireless mic.
Oh, really?
Yeah. But I was freaking out. I was like, "Oh, I messed up." But it wasn't that.
All right, PSA. Anyone that's considering going wireless, don't do it unless you're prepared to really do it.
Yeah.
You need to do it right if you're going to go wireless.
To be honest, I think it's kind of silly at work because we have the same thing every week. It's just the little stage that's set up.
Yeah.
And then we used to have just wired mics, but they didn't because they thought the wires were ugly. But I'd rather have that and it sound good,
Yeah, of course, man. But you're an engineer.
Yeah.
They don't see it like that.
Yeah.
I worked for a church too, and luckily this one, because I worked for a couple doing sound.
Yeah.
And we set up a line array JBL system and that Midas board from scratch in a movie theater and tear it down every week, and it's crazy.
Really? Oh, you have to break down tear.
Oh yeah, man!
Wow.
Full with truss rods, lights, motorized lights. It's insane.
Everything. Wow.
But it's such a well done production that they want to do everything right, and they have a good wireless system. But I've worked with some people that they don't care what it sounds like. They know other people don't care. They don't want to see the cable.
Yeah.
And they will buy cheap wireless that is just it's nothing but problems. But we don't see the cable. That's all we care about, and it's nuts.
Yeah.
But
it's weird that you say that, because I've noticed my family and friends that aren't into music and stuff, they really don't care how things sound.
No.
They just if it's a band that they like, a local band, and they record their little EP in their garage and it just sounds terrible, they're like, "This is a good song. I like this." But to me, I'm I can't listen to it. It's terrible. The song's good, but the recording is so bad that it irritates me. And instead of enjoying the song, all I can do is think about what I would have done different.
Exactly. And I'm gonna say it, even though we've been saying it probably too much, but it's funny you say that.
Yeah.
Because I have a friend who's an engineer who graduated from AEI.
Who is it?
I can't say.
Oh, okay.
And he he uses simulators for everything, drum samples for everything. He can't. I mean, I haul a tube amp over to his place to rehearse, and he's almost offended because he's like, "Why'd you bring that? Like, I can run it through my PA through this simulator." I'm like, "Dude, man, like it's fine. I don't make you carry it. I bring it for me. I like my amp, But I'll talk about preamps or like this EQ, and he's like, "Dude, does it make the song better? Like, does it make the song better?" I'm like, "It makes it sound better."
I think so. Yeah,
I think so. You need to have a good song.
Yeah.
But if the song sounds bad, it's going to be distracting.
Yeah. Exactly.
And I want to do my music justice.
I think having a really good bassist is just as good as having a really good bass amp.
Yeah.
Like if you're like, or like with guitars, like you could have John 5 on a I guess that's not really a good example. If I was gonna say on a Spider.
Yeah. Well, John 5's God, so.
Yeah. I mean, it's gonna sound good, but like, it's not gonna sound like him,
Yeah.
Like,
and you're gonna be like, wow, that's shredding, but what's up with the tone? Like, it sounds a little funky.
Yeah. I mean, anybody can sound good with any amp, I guess, if you're good enough and if you have the right, chops or whatever. But like, when you like it's part of your sound, like. If you see any real big professional, they have, this is my amp, my guitar, my gear. This is my sound. They work hard on that, and it's not just because this company sponsored me. Well, sometimes it's not, but it's because they worked hard on the tone and they know it's just as good as part of their playing,
Yeah, and I've worked really hard and spent a lot of money, and not I'm a bass player, so I've spent more money on my bass stuff than I probably should have because I'm a bass player, dude. People don't notice it other than me.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's a part. I mean, I know how my amp reacts. It's a tube amp. It's very active. It's a part. It's an extension of my playing, like my guitar is.
Yeah.
I mean, everything, man.
And if you had a different amp, if you had like a solid state amp, you would play differently.
I would. It would be a different I kind of play because I know how it's going to react.
Yeah.
It's very true. Like it really affects how I approach the instrument.
Yeah, I notice whenever I'm playing guitar, I have several amps in the next room. If I'm playing through my Mustang 5, which is digital amp, then I kind of just do whatever. But like when I'm playing through a tube amp, I notice like I have to really watch my strumming, or I have to if I dig in, it's a much different sound. But if I dig in on my other amp, it's not that much of a difference.
Yeah.
It's just kind of louder.
Not so react. Yeah, like I played. I went to Guitar Center and I played a Friedman hand-wired guitar amp. 'Cause, I'm a guitar player too. I started out playing guitar.
Okay.
I just fell in love with bass.
Yeah.
I guess because I'm an engineer and I can hear things people can't.
Yeah.
But I went and it's a $3,500 head, just the head, and I mean.
Yeah.
I was like, this thing's gonna sound incredible. And I was like, dude, this sounds awful. And it's like, dude,
Really?
I'm playing bad.
Yeah.
I worked on it. I sat in there for a couple hours. I hated being that guy, but I did. I sat in there for a few hours and I really worked on it, and it made me play better.
Really?
And when I played the licks clean, dude, it sounded unreal.
Really?
But it points out your flaws like none other.
That's actually something I noticed about effects with guitars is there's a lot of bands that are kind of metal bands or rock bands that will just put tons of distortion. They'll play and it just sounds like, oh, this is a dirty song or whatever.
Yeah.
But then if they put that on clean, then it would just sound terrible. They wouldn't be playing anything,
There's so much distortion to where it's just you can't hear the mistakes or anything like that. It's just a big sine wave of distortion.
Oh yeah. All right. Well, we've been going for almost an hour here. We wrap it up. Do you want to give yourself a shout out or any of your bands on social media or anything?
Wastelanders is brand new, man. If y'all want to go like the Wastelanders page, I think we got 10 likes or something because we made it 2 days ago.
Awesome.
That's my newest project, and that is what I'm most excited about right now because it's dirty and it's heavy, and I have spent so much time. I used to be really into heavy music, and then I've gotten prettier and really focused on technique and matured.
Yeah.
But dude, it's so great to just let out and get dirty
just
again.
Do whatever you want.
So if y'all want to get rowdy, come out to an awesome hardcore, just hardcore metal punk show. Wastelanders will be coming out with the EP in the next couple months, and we just made a Facebook page, so go ahead and like that.
Awesome. And yourself, or you just want to keep that personal?
Myself, my name is Josh Mahan. I have an email for Josh Mahan, JoshMahan, GROVES GROOVES. It's Josh Mahan Grooves at Gmail. I mean, I do mixing, mastering, engineering. If anyone needs anything, I suggest you probably go to Johnny.
Well, whatever. You can go to him if you want him.
I mean,
there's no competition here.
Yeah,
really.
I'm on Facebook, and I do live sound. I have PA, and so if any bands need a local showdown, you're looking to do a house party or something, I can bring a PA and mic y'all up and make it awesome. So,
good deal.
Hit me or Johnny up and come to our shows, man.
Awesome. Thanks for coming, and we'll see you guys later. Bye.
Peace.